you're watching Hammer Smash podcast, or you're listening to it. You're probably listening to it. Yeah, I would imagine most people. Anyway, this is the podcast where we do extensive reviews on hammers, and we let you know what tools, what right tool for the right job. You know, we'll start with you, Andrew. What's your favorite hammer?
My favorite hammer?
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know. My dad had a nice, what was it? DeWalt hammer, I think is what it's.
Oh, shit.
That was really nice.
I've heard good things, man.
Yeah, man. No, yeah. I like the electric hammer, too. Those are pretty sick.
Oh, the electric hammer. Yeah, dude.
If you ever had an electric hammer, those ones are sick.
You just hit a fucking button. It's like... We're a podcast that we're going to basically cover metal and death metal and deathcore and black metal and maybe some gent.
And grind.
Maybe a little bit of... And some grind. Some thrash.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get better at this over time, because this first episode is definitely going to be a little bit wonky, but it's okay. That's what we you got to put in those hours. So here we are. Before we begin, the episode's sponsored by Paxton's OnlyFans. Right now, if you enter the code BALLS, you get 20% off. Anyway, today we're covering death metal, the origins of death metal around the world. Pax is going to spearhead this one too, because he knows his shit and I don't. So, not to mention we have a special guest with us today, Andrew Ramirez. He's a drummer. He's really good. He likes the death metal. He likes to hit shit. Yeah, he likes the blast beats.
The blast beats and basties. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. Okay, so first place we're gonna go is home sweet home in the U.S. Okay, you can't see this, but we're rubbing our hands together. That's actually my balls.
That's what that sound is. Yeah, it's our hands. Yes,
that's our hands. Okay, let's go to New York. Pax, what do we got going on in New York, and what time are we looking at here?
So very late 80s, early 90s, up in New York, we had bands like Cannibal Corpse and Suffocation. A little bit later, we had Immolation. But Cannibal Corpse and Suffocation, namely, spearheaded everything in New York. A little bit later on, you would have bands like Mortician joining in. Before Cannibal Corpse and all that, you had Tyrant Sin, Leviathan, Beyond Death, which would become Cannibal Corpse, shit like that. But those bands mainly around that time are the reason that New York death metal is such a big thing even to this day. Because today you have all kinds of death metal bands coming out of New York. Undeath is probably, in my humble opinion, the best newer death metal that's coming out of New York right now. It's just it goes so fucking hard.
Yeah, no, they're sick.
So Cannibal Corpse, a lot of people obviously are gonna know that name. Even if you're not a death metal fan, you've probably heard of Cannibal Corpse. Even people who don't listen to metal, period, have probably heard of the name. They're
because of Ace Ventura.
Yeah, Ace Ventura. Most people have seen Cannibal Corpse. They just don't know it, which is kind of fucking mind-blowing.
Whether they wanted to or not.
That is literally the best part of that movie, too. Yeah.
I fucking love that scene so much. To film that, they had to be completely silent. They filmed for 3 days, had to be completely silent, including the mosh pit. They weren't allowed to scream. They just had to mosh to nothing.
Wait, so the band and the people had to be silent?
Everyone had to be silent, including the band. The band had to mime the instruments and headbang and do what they would normally do, but in complete silence. So Alex Webster was he was getting interviewed about it, and he was like, "Yeah, all you just heard was 1,000 feet going." That was it. There was nothing else going on. And someone would go "Woo!" and the director would be like, "Cut! What the fuck are you doing? Shut up!"
It's like ASMR. Again. It's like ASMR metal live. Yeah. You go see a band, but everyone has to be extremely quiet. It's like a library, but a metal show.
They have the gain and volume turned all the way down.
There's an old lady at a desk that if you make a noise, she's like, "Shh."
I would be so depressed in that environment.
I can just imagine how bizarre that would be to like walk in on the wrong set and you open the set and you just see 1,000 people moshing to no music and you're just like,
dude, I would go to that show. It'd be sick, dude.
I think the reason that they had to do it that way was so that Jim Carrey's lines could be heard and then they could layer in all the other audio behind it. I think that was the reason. I might be wrong, but I think that's why.
Oh man, that's so awesome. I mean, it'd be like the first time you've gone to a show and you could like actually talk to someone like, "Hey, dude, you want to go get a beer?" Like, you could be like, "Hey, dude, you want to go get a beer?" Like, yeah, man, let's go.
this band's sick as fuck.
I love it.
3 days of silent guitar playing.
That's incredible, man.
I think they would play some Cannibal Corpse over the PA to like kind of get people hype. But outside of that, there was no sound that was allowed to happen. No one could talk. No one could cheer. If you got elbowed in the face in the mosh pit, you just had to take it like a champ and keep going. Like it's just
every now and you hear every now and then you hear like, oh, like,
the director's like, "Kai, do it again."
I wonder if they are the only like proper heavy band that's ever been in a movie. Makes me wonder.
In a movie?
Yeah,
I might be able to look that up.
And it's not like they're trying to hide it. They're not like some like fake band on stage. There's literally you can see their banner in the background and everything.
Yeah, it's like obvious there is a death metal band in that movie. Yeah,
Pantera was in SpongeBob. I know that.
Holy shit! I did not know that.
The episode where he's like sandboarding or whatever, they did the instrumental for that.
There's a Death Rattle, I think, was in that episode. So I remember watching the fuck out of that episode when I was younger.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty fucking amazing. I did not know that.
There was a Disney show. It was called like Dave the Barbarian or some shit. Metallica was in that. They voiced a gang of dragons who were very, very hateful. Like the little pet dragon. They were just like, and they joked about racism in it. So like this little like pig dragon, which is like Dave's buddy, like goes into this cave to talk to these giant fucking biker dragons. And fucking James Hetfield picks him up. He's like, "The fuck are you doing in here?" And like the little dragon doesn't speak, so he's just like, "He's like, oh, you're a dragon. Do you breathe fire?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Okay, so you breathe lightning. We're not prejudiced. The point is, you can't take orders from the man, dig?" And Lars is just in the background like, "Yeah, dig." Just repeating everything he said. It was so stupid.
Oh my god!
All right, with those bands that we mentioned. Let's go back to Cannibal Corpse because they're an interesting band. They are famous for 2 vocalists, which isn't like that's kind of strange. Let's go back in time, Pax. Let's kind of talk about. I want to fixate on Cannibal Corpse a little bit and talk about like the lineup changes that they faced.
Okay. So, the original members of Cannibal Corpse was Jack, can't remember his last name, Paul Mazurkiewicz, Alex Webster, Bob Rousset, and Chris Barnes. And everything was fine until the Fire Nation attacked, and they had to kick Bob Rousset out. So Bob's, like, he was responsible for the riff on a Skull Full of Maggots. Like, dude came up with some really good riffs. It's just that, like, as a self-taught guitar player who had a very unconventional playing style, he wasn't, like, evolving with everybody else. Like, Chris's vocals were changing, which, take that for what you will. Everyone else's playing was getting more technical and shit like that.
This is prior to the E's and the...
Yeah. This is back when Chris Barnes was respected.
Yes. Maybe. We don't really know. He maybe wasn't, but
he might have been getting memed even back then.
There wasn't enough publicity back then for us to know, like, really.
Yeah. But he was on like news channels and shit a bunch of times to like get interviewed. He would do like pretty much all of the interviews for the band. Like people would want to interview Cannibal Corpse.
Was this during like the Satanic Panic days? Like we're like, what is your out listening to?
Shit like that. And like Cannibal Corpse was in the newspaper a bunch where it was like, Cannibal Corpse takes Buffalo by storm, be careful, bleh, shit like that. But
Your children are at risk.
Dungeons and Dragons and Cannibal Corpse are going to send your child to hell. And that's all that the news was at that point. For some fucking... There was this one dude. He was a politician. Which we're not getting into politics. I just want to talk shit about this one guy.
Oh, no. The rest of the show is going to be about politics.
Oh, fuck. So...
You guys ready?
I think he was a senator. But he was like on a fucking podium. This is when like Natural Born Killers came out, and he was like, movies like Natural Born Killers and rock groups like Cannibal Corpse and the Ghetto Boys. Which like Ghetto Boys is not rock, it's rap. Like they're really good rap, but it's rap. But he was like Cannibal Corpse and the Ghetto Boys. They're sending your children to hell. It's like he was in favor of like the censorship of music, which is like Tipper Gore's whole fucking thing. Like he was on her side and all that.
Could you imagine if those two groups like did like a split?
It would sound like Body Count.
The Ghetto Corpse, or like
I don't know about that one. Cannibal Boys.
Yeah, dude.
Cannibal Boys sounds like a rap group.
Dude, yeah, it sounds like some like fucking trap.
Sounds like a horrorcore group. Like they just sing about
some
Halloween.
Shit like Corpse or something.
Yeah. It's so fucking bizarre to think like people who stood on like the world stage and like could legitimately dictate what people do. They were so against Cannibal Corpse.
I mean, they still do it today with like video games and shit. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. My child is playing Tetris.
He was playing Tetris and then he ate his baby sister. These have to be related. It can't be the neglect and bath salts. It has to be Tetris.
Mm-hmm. 1 minute they're playing Minecraft, the other they're shitting on the walls at a Wendy's. You know, like I mean, this is what happens.
It's like ass against the wall, just like dragging it down.
It's not even over the span of days. It's like within hours.
Yeah. Dude, any serial killer, like once they get caught, within hours, we don't know who the victims are. We don't know how they killed them. We don't know anything like that. We do know what video games they played and what music they listened to.
The Ghetto Corpse.
They played Farmville and Ghetto Corpse and killed 85 people.
The Cannibal Boys.
Yeah. I would say, like, if any band, and I'm not saying that they have influenced murderers, that's not what I'm saying, but if any band were to influence some fuck shit going down, it wouldn't be Cannibal Corpse, it would be Cattle Decapitation. Because, like, they teach you how to dispose of bodies.
Or Chicago or something.
Yeah, like, listen to fucking Body Farm. Like, it just teaches you how to do it and, like, get away with it.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. I love them, by the way. I'm not talking shit.
The thing is like, let's be real here. Like, heavy metal is like one of those, like, I can listen to that first thing when I wake up and it like calms my nerves almost. It's like,
yep.
If anybody's out there killing people, it's because they're listening to like fucking, I don't know, like Tiny Tim or like or something fucking stupid.
If you ever watch like Insidious, like the fucking scenes like the lipstick demon, he's like sharpening his fingers in the background. It's like,
right. If there's a guy in his basement right now, like fucking in his 20s, listening to that shit,
he's in Minnesota right now.
Yeah,
it's like sharpening a machete in a basement at a farmhouse in Minnesota, listening to Tiny Tim. Mm-hmm. With like pictures of magazine covers on the wall.
He's like burning his finger, like just like with a fucking lighter. I just want to feel something. I don't know, like fucking.
We got off on a long tangent there.
Yeah, I don't know what we were talking about anymore.
I think we were talking about Cannibal Corpse, but now we're talking about politics and serial killers.
Yeah, man. They're all the same. I mean, if you think of it.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Cannibal Corpse is the head of this new world order.
Shitting on the walls at a Wendy's. Okay, let's take a step back and go back where we were. Let's talk about Chris Barnes for a second, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to talk about Chris Barnes, and I want to talk about Chris Barnes.
Okay. So like he was starting off with like Tyrant Sin, and when he joined Leviathan for a little while, and even like the Cannibal demo and like their first album, Eaten Back to Life, he was doing like thrash vocals. Like it was very aggressive thrash vocals, but it was just thrash vocals. Because at that point in time, like death metal and thrash metal, they were like very fucking close. Yeah. The only difference is that like thrash metal was like war sucks, be liberal, and death metal was like kill people, it's fun. So like there was a lyrical difference, and eventually there was an audible difference.
Kill people, it's fun.
You'll get away with it, I swear. Oh fuck. But so like thrash vocals, for anyone who is a vocalist or like a vocal coach or anything like that, it's pretty much well accepted. Like thrash vocals are very damaging to your voice if you don't do them exactly right. Mm-hmm. So a few years ago, and just constantly doing that, and then to immediately flip on Butchered at Birth and start going stupid low, you can like if you listen to it closely, like whether you isolate it or just like try to tune everything out, even when he was doing the stupid low guttural shit that he became known for, there was still like just as much of his yeah, there was just as much of his true chords in that as there was with the thrash shit that he was doing. But it's just that like because he was getting so low, and like at that point like recording equipment wasn't where it is now, so there was a lot of going on to kind of like mud everything up. So like unless you're listening very closely, you don't hear it. But when you start listening closely, you hear his voice crack, you hear him go and shit like that, and like it's just you have to be listening for it. And I think that's the reason that like they blew up so much. It's because unless you were trying to pinpoint it, you didn't hear it. You just heard it dude go, and who doesn't fuck with that? But when you listen to it closely, it's like, and that's why he got replaced by a better singer. People give me so much shit for talking about Chris Barnes. Like I'll make a joke about him, and people are like, "This is bullying." It's like, get fucked.
There's someone listening right now that's fucking furious. They're already in our inbox, like, "Fuck you." Talking shit about Minecraft. Fuck you. We've upset a lot of people today.
Like Minecraft and fucking Chris Barnes fans.
There's a Wendy's employee that's fucking angry.
You fucking assholes! You're gonna give us so much shit.
I have to clean off the walls,
and you're joking about it. You
know what my day is like.
My brother used to work in a Wendy's, and he said it was the most miserable he's ever been.
Oh no!
I think it's a problem with South Carolina. Wendy's in South Carolina is scummy.
I'm sure Wendy's down here is pretty bad too. Florida can get pretty grimy.
Yeah.
South Carolina, though, is a different type of grimy. It's like backwoods, like the hills have eyes type of grimy.
There's like tobacco spit and corn husks on the ceiling fans in South Carolina.
Andrew, what's a Wendy's like in Texas?
A Wendy's like in Texas is just dusty and hot as fuck.
It's everybody shooting guns. Everyone's got guns.
Everyone in there is fighting over who's going to win the Cowboys game, and everyone's University of Texas merch while strapping on their Spurs. There's Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper there is pretty good. I'll give it that. But
I fucking love Dr.
In the
Pepper.
bathroom? Man, I'll be right back. I gotta grab a Dr. Pepper real quick.
Everywhere.
You walk in the bathroom, there's a Dr. Pepper in like the urinal. Like.
It's like Pepsi in South Carolina. Like Pepsi is from either North or South Carolina, so it's like stupid famous in both of the Carolinas. Everywhere you go, it's Pepsi, 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 Pepsi. Except for North Carolina. Up there, it's Cheerwine, which I fucking love Cheerwine, but it's not good enough for me to base my personality off of it like a lot of people up there do.
And over here in Tampa, it's meth.
Neath.
if you want a nice, refreshing hit of meth,
Come on down to Tampa.
come on down to Tampa. Speaking of Tampa, we can talk about that here in a few minutes. That's a big part of death metal.
Fuck yeah.
But let's go back to let's introduce. I'm jumping all over here. I don't even care. Let's take a moment and let's do some Corpsegrinder appreciation here.
Oh, fucking love him so much. Okay, he got that name because of his first band. It was called Corpsegrinder. It was named after a song that's by Death, I'm pretty sure. Because George is a massive Death fan. Like, dude idolized Chuck Schuldiner when he was still alive. Like, just
dude, he was a god.
And I don't blame him. Like, Chuck was a fucking god. But like, I'm like 90% sure it's after a Death song. But if I'm wrong, I'm sure some troglodyte will correct me. But anyway, so like he gets the nickname Corpsegrinder because the guitarist of Monstrosity, they were needing a new vocalist. Dude had no clue that George's name was George. He didn't know what his name was. Just like, get the Corpsegrinder guy. He'll sing for us. Get Corpsegrinder. So they call up George, and George goes out there and it's like, hey, Corpsegrinder. And it's like, the name just stuck. Dude slayed in Monstrosity. Fucking slayed.
Nice.
Like, I don't dislike Monstrosity's later work. That's not what I'm saying. But there was a clear step down after George left. It's hard to compete with George, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So,
one thing I'm noticing with all these band names, they could also double as like truck driver names. Like 100%. Like, truck drivers have like nicknames, and they're always something like.
No, I'm aware that my dad used to be a truck driver. Yeah, like who's getting that as their nickname?
Corpsegrinder.
But like that makes sense because he's in a band like that's all about killing people and shit. But like just a truck driver. Yeah, I haul cotton from Massachusetts to Florida.
They call me Monstrosity.
They call me the Zodiac.
What's up?
I could see a truck driver named Leviathan. He's just the biggest truck driver.
He's this 500-pound dude, 6'8". Bro, my dad, he worked textiles for a while. He worked with this dude named Jabbo, and he was like 6'9", 550 pounds.
Dude, that's fucking.
The dude was like fucking giant, and he was strong as shit. Like he could pick up bales of cotton, which weigh like 500 plus pounds. He could pick one up and move it out of his way.
This dude was probably wider than he is tall. That's pretty fucking crazy. That's crazy, dude.
So I remember this one story, and then I'll stop going on tangents. My dad used to like hijack people's pay-per-views. Like if the neighbors were getting a pay-per-view, he would just hijack their fucking signal so he could watch it too.
Oh shit!
I don't know how the fuck he did it, but he did it. So it was a Hell in a Cell, Undertaker versus Mankind.
Dude, I was gonna ask if it was wrestling.
It was wrestling. So
yes.
Undertaker versus Mankind, and
that's like the Hell in a Cell?
Yeah, Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Like, he gets thrown off the fucking roof. Jabbo, from a seated position, jumps up and smacks his head off the roof of the trailer. Because, like, he's 6'9" in a trailer. So, like, he jumps and just boom and slams back down and starts pointing at the TV, screaming, "He's fucking dead! He killed him on TV!"
I think even like the announcers, I remember like
fucking Jim Ross. By God, he's broken in half. That's so fucking good,
dude.
I love me some wrestling.
I was basically raised by wrestling.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm still a huge wrestling fan.
Fucking dude, I remember WWF, man. That's like.
I wasn't alive for it, but my dad had like a bunch of like tapes and documentaries and shit from back then. Because like I was born in 2002, so
yeah.
By the time I got to watching it, it was like long since been WWE.
I was definitely a baby during the WWF days, but I don't know, man. I all the way up until high school, It was so fucking like entertaining, man. Like
I love wrestling so much, dude.
In fact,
I
I've
thought
seen
about like going to a wrestling school out here.
You should, dude.
I want to do it so fucking bad.
Scream during your matches.
It's like come out dressed up as like fucking Pigsy from Manhunt, just like screaming at people, like slamming and shit.
Oh god. Anyway, let's
let's go back to music.
Maybe we'll do an episode on WWE. We should. I think we should.
Oh, we should.
Because there's a lot of metal bands that have contributed to WWE too.
Oh, yeah.
Disturbed, fucking Killswitch Engaged,
Motorhead.
Motorhead contributed a lot.
Yeah.
Fucking love Motorhead. I had a Motorhead hat before I moved out here, but I wasn't allowed to bring hats on planes, so I had to leave it.
Dear God.
Like they had some rule against bringing hats with you. And like I don't understand why. Because if it's in my suitcase, I'm not hiding anything in it. But it was like no hats, no batteries, no charger packs, nothing like that. It's like fuck y'all.
Yeah, that's why I always put everything in my back pocket. I mean, not like my pant pocket. I mean like my physical body back pocket, brother.
I got sent because like I had like a fucking quarter in my pocket that I forgot about. I had to go through the fucking metal detector 8 times. And they were progressively getting more and more angry every time they sent me through it.
Did you tip them that quarter afterwards? Here you are, my good man.
It's like this fucking asshole. He was like, go back through and come back again. And if it beeps again, we're calling security. You're going to be locked up, and just going off on me in Southern. So I start like digging in my pockets, digging in my ass crack, like trying to find anything metal. And I find a quarter in my pocket. And I was like, here, you fucking dick. And I just threw it at the ground. And I walked through the metal detector. Doesn't go off. And he's like, all right, you're free to go. And I was like, fuck you. Just grabbed my bag. And I boarded my plane before I was allowed to because of how pissed I was. I was in Group C. I boarded with Group A because I was pissed. And I was like, fuck this. Like, I just walked up and I was like, I'm in Group C. I'm getting on now. And they're like, you can't do that. I was like, are you going to stop me from doing that? They're like, well, as long as you go to your seat, I guess it's fine. So I just went on. It was like, I want to get out of this fucking airport so fast.
Let's actually move on. Let's move.
We've been moving on a lot.
Yeah. We all probably have ADHD, which is fine, you know.
Yeah.
Even our listeners might have ADHD. I mean, props.
They might have this on in the background while they're making coffee and killing cats.
ADHD crew, what's good?
Yeah.
All of our ADHD listeners right now have no idea what we're saying because they're not listening. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah, we love you.
Anyway, okay, so Corpsegrinder, fucking legendary. Chris Barn, legendary. I know, maybe not so much these days. Let's leave it at that, so we don't get any angry emails or
We're gonna get angry emails anyway because I said Chris was bad at vocals.
I mean,
he is, and he always has been. Come on. Like, I like their older stuff. Like, objectively, I do.
Yeah.
But from a vocalist perspective, I can't help but being like, yeah, voice cracked there. You fucked this line up. This cadence is weird. Just, I know I'm being a dick about it, but that's just how it be when I listen to old Cannibal Corpse. I'm like, man, this riff goes so fucking hard. And then he starts singing, and I'm just like, shit.
Damn. All right, Pax.
Where are we going next?
Where are we going? Let's travel down south to Tampa.
Let's go to Florida because our good homie Andrew said he was really into Morbid Angel earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, dude. Absolutely.
I don't know jack shit about Morbid Angel, so let's take it away, Andrew.
Dude, Morbid Angel, for me, I feel like Pete Sandoval was one of like my main like turn-ons to blast beats and whatnot, just for like the way that was used. And some of the guitar licks were just so like, especially on Altars of Madness, were so just like out there and abstract for death metal. Just completely wild, like just a whole different set of like turn-ons for death metal, honestly.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, David Vincent's like, I kind of feel the same way about what you do with Chris Barnes. It's like, I can listen to it and it's like, I like it, but as a vocalist, I'm like, but I definitely feel like, I don't know, they had like their own kind of like sound going for like death metal at the time. Honestly, they definitely like stuck out slightly different than everyone else, in my opinion, at least. It all sounds,
especially in Tampa.
Yeah.
It's like down in Florida, everyone was trying to sound like a fucking Obituary.
Yeah,
everyone.
Yeah,
either Obituary or Deicide, and Morbid Angel didn't sound like either of them. They actually sounded unique, which for death metal is big.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about Obituary, actually.
They go so fucking hard.
Yeah.
I love Obituary.
Right.
Yes.
So when was let's look into their older catalog. When did they break out?
I will say that Slowly We Rot changed the fucking game. That came out in '89. So like
That's
the same year as like Eaten Back to Life that came out. And it changed, like, for Florida death metal, that changed everything. Talk to any band from back then. Talk to them. They're like, Slowly We Rot came out, and that, like, we had to do that forever.
I was a newborn at that time.
I was not even a sperm cell at this time. This is 12 years before I was born.
Your dad was probably just like beating off in his bedroom at that point.
Probably.
Yeah.
Or like harassing his teachers because he was a dick in high school.
Or beating off his teachers. No.
I don't know about that one, Chief.
Maybe his teachers were beating him. Okay, I gotta stop.
Let's not go there. I feel like that one's just not okay.
South Carolina, man, some crazy shit can go down.
He was in Virginia. I fucking love Virginia. I love Virginia so much, dude.
It's beautiful.
It is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And the people up there, let me rephrase that. The people who don't dislike minorities, they're the nicest people on the planet. The ones who do.
Just to make that clear.
The ones who do dislike minorities, I feel like they hate everybody, but they just choose to focus on minorities. Because if you go up there and you're like, yeah, I don't hold hatred in my heart towards people I haven't met. They're just like, you're a fucking liberal. Get out! And just shit like that. So the people are half good, half shit, and the land is beautiful, and there are a bunch of deer up there. And West Virginia has Mothman, and I love Mothman.
Oh, dude, that movie scared the absolute piss out of me as a kid.
The Mothman Prophecies?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good movie.
I was so worried I was going to see a red light at any point in my life, and I was going to die of cancer immediately. Yeah. But
oh shit.
Yeah.
See, for me it was E.T. I watched E.T.
dude.
and it traumatized me. So I was having nightmares about E.T., but his eyes were fucking massive.
Oh, no.
Even compared to what it was in the movie, his eyes were massive, and I don't know why that just freaked me out so much. But he would just run around.
Terrifying.
He would run around in my room with like his little wet feet slapping off the floor, like just going, just running around and shit. It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die.
That's why you always carry some fucking Reese's Pieces on you, dude. You have to.
Bro, my family never bought Reese's Pieces, and we're all fat, so that doesn't make any fucking sense. But we just never had them, so I couldn't defend myself.
Dear God. Oh, fuck. Let's dig into at least one more Florida band. Let's talk about Death. I want to talk about Death.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Death is fucking legendary.
Yeah.
Like the riffs are so technical, but they're still catchy as shit.
They were technical death metal, but death metal before technical death metal even existed.
Yeah, like before it even became like a fleshed out genre, they were like, you know what? Let's play death metal, but try a little bit harder. And so it was just like complex shit, but it was still catchy. Like the riff for what the fuck is it? Spirit Crusher. Like listen to that shit and be like, this is weird. Mm-hmm. But it's something like, it's weird as fuck, it's complex, but you can just sit down and hum it without thinking, like, and the fucking vocals.
Dude, Chuck's vocals.
Oh my god. I don't know how he hit those fucking notes.
The first time I heard them, I will be honest, I was very off put by them. I was like, This is I was expecting to hear some like fucking guttural, stereotypical like death metal false chord,
I'll say I wasn't off put by it, but I was expecting gutturals too.
Mhm.
Because
I guess off put's not the right word. Because I fucking love his voice. I think it was just very very
shocking.
unexpected. Yes, exactly. That's a better word. Yes.
So like I was going into it expecting like the lowest fucking gutturals because everyone was praising this band.
Mhm.
Like the vocals, insane, guitar, insane, bass, insane, drums, insane. So I was just like, oh my god, like this is the perfect band.
Mhm.
And then I started listening to the first thing I heard of them was
Which
Low
album?
Life. It was off of Spiritual Healings. Low Life, I think is the song where it's like Low Life is all you'll ever be. And I heard that and I was like, this is not even close to what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
So I quit listening to it. It's not that I was off put by it, but like it didn't really like catch me at that moment. So I
feel
quit
like
listening
that's
to
how
it.
that was. I had a very similar experience.
Yeah.
Like I was
But,
so
like-
completely impressed, but I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like a few months later, I was like sitting down and I was like, I'm a very like visual person. If album art grabs me, I will listen to that band religiously.
Mhm.
But that's how I found Guttural Slug. It's because of the album art on Megalodon. I was like, that's the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life. So I just started jamming them, and like now I'm a massive fan. But I kept thinking about like the album art of Spiritual Healing, which I might be getting the title wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. The one with the like the TV preacher and he's like putting his hand on the poor gentleman who's obviously dying. And I was just thinking about that, and like growing up in a very like religious place in the world, I was just like, that actually happens. And like that is so fucking tragic, but it actually fucking happens. And just thinking about like that album art, I was like, I'm gonna give this another chance. And I listened to it again, and I was just like chills the entire fucking album. And I was like, oh my god, like I don't know how I didn't like this at first, but like this is special. Like this is everything that people were saying it was.
Yeah, that album came out in 90, by the way. 1990 is when that album came out.
So 1990 is like the perfect year for death metal.
And their first album was in 1987, Scream Bloody Gore.
Yeah, that's a fucking amazing album. They don't have a bad album.
The first album
I got a leprosy flag that's going to get here soon.
Nice.
Sound
of Perseverance is probably the first thing I heard. And then Symbolic after that, another really, really great album.
Yeah.
For me, I heard Suicide Machine, Human, and I was just like fucking set because I feel like Human was like a great blend between like their early shit that was like real like straightforward old school and their later shit that was straight tech. Like I feel like Human was a great blend of those two.
Right.
So the first songs I heard was like Lack of Comprehension and Suicide Machine, and that was right when Chuck was like, he still had his lower vocals, but he was starting to like kind of get some more range with it. And that's whenever the drums just started getting super technical. And oh man, yeah,
so good.
Yeah.
Their cover of Painkiller to this day is like, it is the highest fucking notes I've ever, it is blood curdling screams.
Yes.
Like rarely will someone get that high and I'm just like, oh my fucking god. Because usually someone gets that high and like their voice cracks and it's just like, ah! But he was like holding that shit perfectly. It was just, I love it.
Yeah, like matching Rob Halford's high pitch in general, like no matter what, is already crazy. But doing like death metal with force and power was just insane.
I saw Judas Priest live, and Rob was singing so high and so loud, the mic just fucking broke. Like he was just like, just so fucking up there, and like so much power behind it,
man.
And all you heard was, and the mic cut out. And I was like, oh my, I turned to my buddy, I was like, holy shit. So you see him like saunter off stage, like with all of his fucking godliness, and he just grabs another mic and keeps singing flawlessly, and I was like,
what a beautiful, beautiful man.
He is. I would kiss him every day.
Right?
I would eat peanut butter off of his bald scalp, no hesitation.
I thought you were gonna say balls, but then you went scalp.
Bro,
but I'm gonna take it a step. I'm gonna take it a step.
He's a smooth man. He's so smooth.
Wait, in his balls or his head?
I'd imagine his balls are also smooth. Like you don't have that level of charm when you have a fucking jungle bush. Like, he's a clean man.
I think I'm a perfect example of that being true. I have the biggest bush on the podcast. It's a bush I'm proud of. Okay, I've been working very hard at this.
I shot water on my nose.
Now, speaking of bush, I think this is probably a good place to stop. The first
I thought we were going political again.
And next episode will be part 2, where we're gonna finish wrapping up the United States, and then we're gonna move probably down to Brazil, see what's going on over there.
Ooh.
So that'll be really exciting. Before we hop off here, Andrew, do you have anything you want to plug while you're here?
Musically, both my bands are currently writing music because we came off a release this past year or two. And personally, drum-wise, I just got featured in Sick Drummer magazine. I had an interview in there. I was super sick. I've been watching that channel and magazine for like years. There's so many gnarly death metal drummers.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, dude, like seeing my name with that, it made me cry. I sat and cried for a bit, man.
That's fucking amazing. Man. I've been following that. I've been following Sick Drummer magazine for a decade, maybe. That's fucking incredible. To see your name on there is like pretty fucking amazing, man. Like, congrats.
Yeah, man, it blew my mind, and just makes me want to keep going now.
So, for the listeners, what is the name of your projects?
So my death metal / deathcore, I guess modern death metal is what you could call it, is called The Worst Case Scenario.
Okay.
And then I also play in a metalcore band called Through Life.
And these are on Spotify? Can they listen?
Yeah, every platform: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. I'm sure that it's on Napster somewhere and LimeWire and all that stuff. So
fuck yeah, dude. Yeah.
It's don't get a virus if you get it from there, but it's there.
Yeah.
I'm sure our tapes are in your library somewhere. If you want to go rent them. So.
Right on. Real quick, also before we hop off, I want to shout out to Bob Williams. Unfortunately, he was sick. Thankfully, we had our good friend Andrew to jump in for this episode. We will be featuring Bob soon. Also want to shout out his band, Sever the Memories. They're really fucking sick. In fact, I think I showed you packs. They're pretty fucking heavy. They're also on Spotify. Yeah, they're really fucking sick. They are releasing a deluxe edition of their EP next month, I believe on the 17th of November. I think it's the 17th of November. Anyway, it's got all the instrumentals, and in fact, they have a Job for a Cowboy cover on there of Knee Deep. That's actually really fucking sick.
Oh, that's sick.
And I produced it, and it sounds really fucking great. So
yeah. Suck your dick.
Shout out, Bob, if you're listening. We love you, and we're excited to hang out with you soon.
I love you, Bob.
And we also want to talk about real quick before we hop off. End of an Era. We are currently mixing. I am currently mixing the song right now, and it sounds fucking awesome.
I'm hype as fuck for that to come out.
It's heavy. It's really heavy. But I don't know if we're allowed to show a teaser, but if we are, actually, let's not do that. We're not going to do that. Sorry, I brought it up.
Yeah.
If you're mad about it, fuck you.
You have to wait.
Maybe next episode we'll drop a teaser. How about that?
Maybe. But not the breakdown. That's a surprise.
We're only going to drop the breakdown. That's the whole song is just one breakdown.
Just one breakdown after another for 6 minutes.
It's the same breakdown over and over and over and over again for 6 minutes. But that wraps up today's episode. Thank you for listening, guys. Once again, I'm Andrew. That's Paxton. And our special guest today, Andrew Ramirez. Thank you so much for being with us, dude.
Yeah.
Make sure to follow him on social media, follow his bands on social media, and follow us on social media. If you haven't already, follow us on Spotify. Thank you for listening. I think I said that already. I'm going to say a lot of things over and over again because it's my first time. Okay, I haven't done a podcast before. Okay, yeah. So take it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.